all, welcome to 2026. And speaking of 2026, I started to kind of think about what I want to do in 2026, some goals I want to accomplish, some plans that I might have for 2026. And I like to take a look back at the previous year while planning for this year. So I thought maybe you would like to take a look back at 2025 with me. So that's what this week's video is all about, taking a look back, going down memory lane here from 2025. But before we jump into that, here's a quick introduction in case you're wondering who I am. Hi there, I'm Stacy, the Encaustic mixed media artist behind Studio Stacy. Encaustic literally means to burn in. So I paint with beeswax and a torch, and because it's mixed media, pretty much anything else I can get my hands on. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Consider subscribing and joining this artsy community. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, which helps me get introduced to more like-minded artsy folks like yourself. All right, you're probably gonna get a voiceover me for the rest of this video. Hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out. The month of January seemed like a good time to start a few things over. New year, new paintings, or rather painting over older paintings that I just figured weren't quite working out anymore. And hopefully these newer styles or newer paintings I will not be painting over again this year, but I did choose to paint over a couple different paintings and I was happy with how they came out again. I also decided in the month of January to knit a few more pairs of socks, but more importantly, I decided to start something new again in the knitting world, I guess, or in my knitting world, and that is I decided to try my hand at knitting garments. Not everything was easy peasy in the month of January as it was absolutely stunningly beautiful outside. However, it was frigid. Got down in the negative Fahrenheit degree temperatures. And our hot water froze. Luckily, it did unthaw, but we may need to take a look at that going forward in the future. The month of February continued to be absolutely gorgeous around here as we continue to get more snow. However, I did have a setback in the studio this time around. Morning all. It is Thursday. I finally made it into the studio this week and it is frigid in here. I don't think the mini split is working properly. Matter of fact, I can hardly hold this camera. My hands are so cold. And of course the tripod is metal. But at any rate, I am thinking we're gonna try to use the propane heater over here. And then it is supposed to warm up this weekend. There's a big block of ice out back by where the unit sits out there. And I think that maybe that's why it's not working, but it's quite cold. So yeah, let's see what happens here. And speaking of being in the studio, I came up with an idea for a new painting series, this time involving some native trees here in West Virginia, but I wanted to paint them larger. So I experimented with quite a few different leaf prints throughout this year, but it all started in February, experimenting with different water medias, different leaf prints, and figuring out how they would work with the encaustic medium. We continued to enjoy the snow in February as it was absolutely stunning and gorgeous outside. course, enjoyed our fireplace inside. I believe at the beginning of 2025, I did set a goal to redo as many of these paintings as I could. So, of course, the month of March, I continued to tear apart and redo some old paintings. And I'm really happy that I did set this goal because I got a lot of paintings redone this year. So, yeah, we'll see how the year wraps up. But I'm really happy so far with how these paintings have turned out redoing them. I also decided to set some knitting and reading goals in the month of March and even created a reading and knitting journal. So stay tuned. We'll see how this goes and how much I use it. The month of April did bring warmer weather. However, we did not escape our water problems.
Somebody call, not a plumber.
Yes. Hello?
A1 Heating and Plumbing. Somebody order a tank?
Yes, please.
Coming right up.
You want help?
It's here.
Yay. At least it was under warranty, huh?
Gotta love good warranty.
Now we just need the plumber to get here. The good news is the hot water tank was under warranty. We were able to get a new one and get it installed, so we are back to having hot water now. In the studio, I continued to, you guessed it, redo some paintings. Yeah, they're coming out nicely, and I'm happy with the results and happy to get some of these older paintings that I really didn't like turned into newer ones that I'm happy with. We also decided, because the winter in 2025 was so cold, we decided to really stock up on some firewood. So even though it's only April, spring is the perfect time to get out in the woods and get some firewood ready for 2026, which is exactly what we decided to do in the month of April. The month of May brought our first trip, this time to an art show, which is another one of my goals that I had for 2025 was to do more art shows. So this art show was in Delaware, Ohio, and it went pretty well. Back home in my studio in West Virginia, and yep, here we go, redoing yet another painting. This one looks pretty similar to the last one, but believe it or not, it's a slightly different painting. And again, I'm happy with how these are coming out, so I'm just going to continue to redo paintings here that I'm unhappy with. And the goal of 2025, at least where this was concerned, is going really well. The month of June, we found ourselves on a vacation, taking another road trip, this time a longer road trip with our friend Sam. We went on vacation for a week. We went to Mammoth Cave, and then we went on to the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. We had so much fun. Highly recommend going to both places if you're ever in the area or are in the mood for some bourbon and hiking. Making it back home, we are in the studio, this time not painting in the studio, but rather redoing some electric. We're not redoing some electric, but installing a new 30 amp plug, as we have decided to become Harvest Host. Not Harvest Host members, but hosting other campers. And we're having a great time with it so far.
What's the plan there, man?
This. For all you campers, we're adding a 30 amp plug to the studio. So the camper can park right out there. Got water hookups. We're all set here.
Oh, it's starting to rain. I gotta put you away.
Moment of truth. Delay, delay, caution, caution. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're good.
Good.
Surge protection.
Now that we have the plug installed, we just needed to get the shop set up in the studio.
All right, I think the setup looks pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. I'm pretty happy with it. Got some smaller pieces out down there. Of course, I have these air plant pods out here. These are the card packs that you saw me make up already. So those are in there, along with the postcards, the thicker postcards. Those are all in there. And then panning over to here, I have what's left of the mini explorations. And actually, out of 100, there's not that many, but can flip through them here. And then these are the trees that I did, I think last year. I think the little mini trees I did last year. So those are in here. Again, there's not that many of them left, but I thought they would be a nice little takeaway type of thing. And then some more air plant pods, of course, original artwork, and 2 larger paintings, that one and that one, just to show more examples of encaustic painting. Of course, I'd be happy if somebody bought one, but yeah, so I think that's it. Oh, and of course, Studio Stacy sign, and then, without making you too dizzy, I do have this big one out because I think it's a good example of the texture and things that you can get with encaustic. And so I always like to share with people the different techniques for encaustic. So there you go.
Also in the studio, I am doing some more leaf prints, continuing on with some more research on these West Virginia trees, hopefully getting ready to paint some big paintings here coming up in 2025. During the month of July, I did, yes, you guessed it, some more leaf prints. However, I also started to finalize some of these tree sketches. I believe we are getting a bit closer to painting some big paintings. We also took another trip, this time to Watauga State Park, just a short weekend trip, but we did some camping. The campground was rather crowded. The spaces were pretty close together, but it was a nice campground. Also, they were redoing one of the bathhouses, I believe. So anyways, we did some hiking there at Beartown Boardwalk, which was beautiful. I had these massive rocks and boardwalks, and it was stunning. Highly recommend if you're in the area, go to Beartown. And then we also hiked on the Allegheny Trail because that was very close by to the campground, to Watauga State Park Campground. Headed back home, we had decided to redo some fencing. This is right outside where the Harvest Host campers and vans guests they park. So we decided to reinforce this fencing, redo the fencing to make it a little bit more safer for guests. And we also decided to level out some of this gravel. We noticed that the campers are fine camping here, but some of the vans or vehicles that are just on wheels that don't detach, they're a little bit harder to level. So we're trying to make it a little bit more camper and van friendly here. Want our guests to be happy and level. Moving back to inside of the studio, I am finally putting these leaf prints to good use and started a large painting. I do believe all of the prep work, all of the sketching, all of the leaf prints, all of the research behind these trees is starting to pay off rather.
All right, so I don't know if you remember, but this I think was one of the first sketches I did. And then I sketched out some of the bark, attempted some leaf prints that did not come out at all. And some of the bark sketches came out way better than others. And then, of course, I did some leaf drawings and refined the sketch a bit more. Still, leaf prints still aren't coming out great. And then I applied some encaustic paint, did a sketch with encaustic paint on the bark, did some more leaf prints that did come out, and then that is the final result there. And like I said, I'm really happy with how it came out. Added the wording in, of course. I think I brought Matt over here the other day, and he said it's like the little mini tree series that I did of West Virginia trees. I just kind of turned it into a bigger painting, maybe a little bit more refined, but yeah, I'm just really happy with how it came out. And let me try to get a close-up if that camera will focus. There we go. There's a close-up of some of the bark detail. Yeah, just really happy with how the whole thing came out. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well.
We found ourselves on another road trip during the month of August. We're finding out that the summer is a wonderful time to travel through beautiful West Virginia. This time headed to the Green Bank Observatory, where we attempted to communicate with the aliens. Also visited Seneca Caverns and the Cass Scenic Railroad. There is so much to discover here in West Virginia. I feel like we are barely scratching the surface. Back in the studio in September, working on another large painting. And I am really enjoying working on these paintings, making these blended backgrounds with the leaves. And this particular one, could be one of my favorites, was one of my favorites, I should say. I love the colors. I loved everything about it. And apparently someone else loved it just as much because it is no longer in the studio. It's actually sold to one of our Harvest Host guests. Thank you so much for purchasing it and, of course, for staying. And speaking of camping, we took a couple trips in September, and Lake Sherwood, which is where we're at here, is one of our favorite campgrounds and areas to date so far in West Virginia. The lake is absolutely stunning. It's very serene, calm, beautiful lake to kayak in. Highly recommend if you have kayaks going to Lake Sherwood in West Virginia. It is also surrounded by forests and mountains, so it's absolutely stunning. And you can kayak right from the campground. Some of the campsites actually have kayak or boat rather launch areas, so it's really nice. The lake is also very pristine, as you can see, and there's a lot of inlets to go in and out of. Highly recommend Lake Sherwood. Moving on from Lake Sherwood to Holly River State Park. We thought Lake Sherwood was our favorite one until we came to Holly River, which is hard to tell which one is our favorite. Again, extremely spacious campsites, beautiful, beautiful area. Holly River has a lot of hiking, not kayaking, but a lot more hiking and beautiful hikes to go on. Some of them are easier hikes, some of them are a bit difficult. There's a river that kind of meanders through the park. And yeah, it's just, again, a beautiful area. The hike we took was to Potato Knob and a little bit more strenuous, but the views are stunning and the payout was, something else. We made it back home and decided to do a project in October, one that we've been meaning to do. As you can see, I think you can see, the awning here on the Barndominium is not securely installed. So we talked to a builder who stayed with us through Harvest Host and told us how to rebrace this structure. So we wanted to make sure it was a lot more secure since we do park the camper underneath there. And with the snow that we get, we just wanted to make sure everything was secure as far as the weight goes on this Barndominium awning.
Oh yeah, that worked well. Yep, there it is, backwards. Not correct at all. Last one. That's why you carry a spare. I think we're done. Let's go camping.
What did you say?
When in West Virginia, I guess you gotta get mining tools out.
Once the awning was secure, we wanted to move the pole out of the way. It was slightly in the way for the camper. We'll show you at the end here why it was in the way, but we first needed to redig a hole, which is never easy here in the rocky hills of West Virginia, pour some cement, and then simply move the pole. Easy peasy, right?
Clear. Okay, the whole purpose of moving this post from there to there was this. Expect full slow action. But it looks like it fits. It works. We got an awning.
In the studio, I am now leaf printing the American beech tree leaves. Continuing on with this, as the leaves are really starting to fall and change here in October, I want to get at least one more leaf print done so that I can finish one more large tree painting. November was all about spending time in the studio, trying to get 2 more large paintings done because I didn't want them to linger into 2026. And I have other different painting plans coming up for December. So just attempting to get 2 more tree paintings done, rather, not leaf paintings, tree paintings. And I did accomplish that in the month of November, and I think they turned out great. Welcome to December, where we decided to take one last trip this year. Went to Wheeling, West Virginia, to take in the Festival of Lights at Ogilby. We made it back home to a winter wonderland where we celebrated Christmas with friends and family. In the studio, I decided to work on mini paintings, 4x4 mini paintings, in different various art styles and art movements. This was a lot of fun, and I had a great time doing it. And there you have it, the year of 2025 in review. Stay tuned for the next video coming up next week, where I will share my 2026 plans, which may or may not include more of these mini paintings.
Thanks so very much for joining me on this one. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you liked the video. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Got big plans coming for you in 2026. See you on the next one. Bye for now.